Who dat to the Who Dat Nation? Welcome to the Dome Patrol podcast, your podcast for the New Orleans Saints here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and this is the Week 16 preview of the New Orleans Saints traveling to the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field to take on the Green Bay Packers on Monday Night Football. The Saints are currently 5-9 on the season, just coming off of a hair of your chinny chin loss against the Washington Commanders this past week. They will face the Green Bay Packers, who are 10-4 and looking to clinch a playoff spot in this game. The Saints, even though at 5-9 on the season, are still playing for something. They mathematically now, the Saints are still alive in the playoff hunt. Now, granted, a lot has to happen. Heaven and earth will have to move in order for the Saints to kind of squeak their way into the playoffs. But to be more accurate, the clearest path, the Saints will have to win the division. And at this point, it's looking a little unlikely that would happen with a red hot Green Bay or Tampa Bay. And Atlanta is doing Atlanta things. We just saw Atlanta bench quarterback Kirk Cousins for their rookie quarterback Michael Penix Jr. And so who knows what's going to happen with that? They might play better. And this is after a win. Atlanta won last week. And Kirk Cousins looked like hot garbage, and they still decided to bench him. But Atlanta looks like, I'm not going to say out of it, they have a better chance than we do, but it's not looking too promising for them. But Tampa Bay looks like a playoff team right now. I'm going to give credit where credit is due. They looked real good in their victory last week, and no signs of slowing down. They're just going about their business. But the Saints have fallen too deep into this hole that we're in right now, and it don't look too good. And we have a lot of injuries that are still mounting up, even though we're getting a lot of players back that we lost earlier in the season that affected this 5-9 campaign that we're on. But it seems like when we get one player back, another one goes down. You know, it's the craziest thing. We all know about Derek Carr at this point. Derek Carr is basically ruled out for the season. Basically, I'm not too sold on that notion that he's out for the season, because I think in the heart of hearts, Derek Carr is going to try to come back for that Raiders game, because it's the Raiders. So he's going to try to come back for that game. But as far as this week, it's looking more than likely we will have Spencer Rattler as our starting quarterback. And we saw last week where Alvin Kamara went down with that groin injury. He didn't return into the game after he caught that amazing touchdown catch. That was awesome, but it was at a cost because he is out. That's prompted the Saints to sign Clyde Edwards-Helaire to the team. And I didn't even know Clyde Edwards-Helaire was out there. I thought he was still in Kansas City. That's how crazy this league is. But he's now a part of the New Orleans Saints. In case you don't know, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I already mentioned, he played for the Chiefs for a few years, got 2 Super Bowl rings with the Chiefs. And for all of us down here in Louisiana, he also has a national championship, as he was a part of the LSU Tigers championship run a few years ago with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, you know, that epic run that they went on. And so he's a good running back, but you have to ask the question, A, why was he available? And B, the team that he was formerly on has no run game, and they still decided to let him go. So it's something there. And now sometimes it's just the system. Some players can get into a certain system and flourish better. Look at Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams, when he was in Detroit, was a wrecking ball. He was a force of nature. But he gets here in New Orleans and it's like, look for me. He just doesn't fit in New Orleans. I still think he's a good running back, but he just doesn't fit in this system here. But with that being said, I don't think Clyde Edwards-Helaire will play Monday night. If he do, it'll be a shock. But I'm encouraged by what I saw from Kendre Miller last week against the Washington Commanders. He looked really good. Looked really good running the ball. And I always felt he was a good running back. He just had to stay healthy. And that's the bugaboo on him. That's the knock. He can't stay healthy. And so if he's able to stay healthy, then run the rock like he did against the Commanders, we'll be all right in that area of this game. Speaking of the Washington Commanders game, the Saints did come back. It was a fun game to watch for me. I really enjoyed that game. Not in the first half, but I enjoyed the second half of that game. The Saints were down 17-0 against the Washington Commanders. They end up losing 20-19. And that says a lot about the resilience of this team, and it also says a lot about Spencer Rattler. If you listen to this show long enough, especially this season, you know that I'm a huge Spencer Rattler fan. I think given the opportunity, Spencer Rattler can be the guy. Never did I say that Spencer Rattler would lead us to the Super Bowl. I'm just saying the dude just has it. He's a football player. Is he the greatest quarterback the Saints ever drafted? No, it's too early for that. But I think he gives us a better opportunity to win. I like his poise in the pocket. I like how he takes command of the team. Something that, for better or worse, Jake Haener didn't do in that first half. Jake Haener, God bless him, I think the lights were too bright. I like Jake Haener as well. And for some strange reason, he just, I don't know, man. He just pulled the bed. I don't know if it was nerves or he was ill prepared or whatever the case may be, but he looked like garbage in that first half. And I know he's not that bad. I've seen him play, but something happened. I mean, was it the Commanders' defense? I mean, that is a top 10 defense, so it's a possibility, but I don't think that was the case. I think he really was super nervous. That was his first start, and he just couldn't shake it, And Spencer Rattler came in that second half and just lit a fire under this team that if we would have had just 2 more minutes left in this game, we would have won the game. I mean, we had 0 time left in the game and we still almost won it. But I know with just another drive, an opportunity to get another drive, he would have won this game for the New Orleans Saints. But that's against the Commanders. We'll see what he does this week against the Packers, who are, I would say, on par with the Commanders as far as the level of competition. This is a real good team here, but actually I'll say a little better than the Commanders, to be honest with you, because of the coaching. Matt LaFleur is one of the best coaches in football. What he's been able to do with the Packers since he's taken over has been nothing short of phenomenal. I mean, it doesn't matter who his quarterback is, what the situation is. He always finds a way to get his team into the playoffs. Always finds a way to have his team competitive week in and week out, despite of injuries or whatever the case may be. And so I have a lot of respect for the Green Bay Packers and Matt LaFleur. But game planning against this team is going to be paramount. You really can't start off 17-0 against the Packers as well, but because the Packers aren't going to allow you to score 19 unanswered points. I'm going to tell you that now. This is a better team, a better coach team than the Washington Commanders, and that's not a knock on Dan Quinn. It just that was That's Dan. This is Dan Quinn's first year in Washington. You know, that team has a rookie quarterback in Jaden Daniels. You know, it, a lot happened in that second half from the Washington Commanders that contribute to the Saints coming back in that game. But the Saints took advantage of those opportunities. So good on them. As I said, this is a Monday night game. There's a lot, the world is watching. There's a lot on the line. The Saints are going to try to prevent the Packers from clinching a playoff spot. The Packers can clinch a playoff spot with a victory, but Green Bay can also clinch before they even touch the field on Monday night if the Falcons lose or the Rams and Seattle lose as well. So they can still clinch, which I'm hoping for. I hope they clinch it beforehand. That way, maybe they will ease up the, give the Saints a little leeway going into this game. I doubt it, but wishful thinking. But let's go through the injury report for this game. This is an early injury report, being as though the game is on Monday night. At the time of this recording, nobody has been ruled out or anything for the game, so we're just going off of what has taken place up until Friday evening's practice. And on the list, we have Derek Carr with his left hand. He didn't practice all week. Alvin Kamara, groin, didn't practice all week. Bud Means, ankle, did not practice. Marquez Van-Der-Scantling, he has a chest and an illness, chest injury. He didn't practice all week either, which is upsetting. Chase Young had an illness. He didn't practice all week. Jawan Johnson with his foot, he was limited. And, of course, Chris Olave, he's on IR, but he was limited in practice. He was allowed to practice to a degree. But as far as Van Scantling and Chase Young, they're dealing with more illnesses. Maybe that'll clear up by Monday. Hopefully, fingers crossed. We'll see. But everybody else, I would imagine, probably won't be playing on Monday night. And that's not good, especially Shandling. I think the Saints should make a push to re-sign him, bring him back next season. He's really impressed. I think he won a job here, won a spot here. Him, possibly a Chris Olave and a Rashid. Oh man, that's money there, boy. That's a receiving core for the ages. But we shall see. Let's go over stat leaders on each team, beginning with passing yardage. Of course, Derek Carr is the Saints passing leader, 189 completions off of 279 attempts, 2,145 yards passing, 15 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. For the Green Bay Packers, it's Jordan Love, 226 completions off of 355 attempts, 2,953 yards passing, 23 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. Leading rusher for the New Orleans Saints is, of course, Alvin Kamara with 228 carries with 950 yards rushing and 6 touchdowns. For the Green Bay Packers, Jacobs, 265 carries, 1,147 yards rushing and 12 touchdowns. Just to swing back to Alvin Kamara. If Alvin Kamara, which a lot of reports are coming out that he will miss the remainder of the season, which I understand, which I want him to miss the rest of the season. There's really no point to send him out there to get hurt or whatever the case may be, even further than what he already is. But the one thing that I am so hurt, disappointed, and just feel so bad for him with, he has 950 yards rushing. He's just 50 yards away from getting his first 1,000-yard season rushing. And that really sucks, man. Because I really wanted him to get that this season. I really thought he was going to get it. And you get to the finish line and boom, you trip, fall. You can't cross it. I feel so bad for him. Leading receiver for both teams, Alvin Kamara once again still the leading receiver for the Saints with 68 catches, 543 yards, and 2 touchdowns. For the Green Bay Packers, it is Jaden Reed, no relation, with 49 receptions, 727 yards receiving, and 6 touchdowns. Let's go over the season rankings thus far this through week 16. The Saints are 5-9. Packers are 10-5. Scoring average ranking, Saints are 18th. The Packers are 7th. Opponent scoring average, the Saints rank 13th in the league, Packers 8th. For total offense, the Saints are 15th in the league, and the Packers are 4th. My God. Rushing offense, Saints are 11th, Packers are 4th. Passing offense, Saints are 20th in the league, Packers are 11th. Total defense, Saints 30th in the lead, Packers 10th in the lead. Rushing defense, Saints are 27th, Packers are 9th. Passing defense, Saints are 28th, Packers are 15th. And the turnover margin, Saints are ranked 16th in the league with +1. Packers are 5th in the league with a +8 in the turnover margin. Keys to victory for the New Orleans Saints against the Green Bay Packers on Monday night is a little difficult because I picked the Saints to lose against the Washington Commanders, worse than what we end up losing by, because Saints actually had a chance to win. But I will go as far to say that Green Bay is better than Washington. Hence, it will probably be a tougher game, especially going by the rankings of their defense. The offense is the offense. The offense is going to put up points, but their defense is stifling. And going up against a rookie quarterback with majority of his weapons out, actually his 2 best weapons, Scantling and Kamara won't be playing. So, well, we don't know about Scantling, but we'll see. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. The Packers are 5th against the run. When you have an inexperienced quarterback, you want to run the ball more. But if you can't run, if you have a defense that's going to take that away, now you're putting it in hands of Rattler and you asking him to turn water into wine. And I don't know if that's possible with this young man, at least not yet in his career. But I don't know. I really don't know what the Saints can do to win this game. I'm being 100% honest with you. The only way, I guess, if I'm just throwing stuff against the wall to see what sticks, it's on our defense. It's on our defense to slow down his offense, to generate some turnovers, to make them one-dimensional. And what dimension do you make them? Because you have an offense that is a top 5 in every category, running and passing. And so either way, they're efficient. And so I really don't know. And I guess we just gonna have to generate turnovers somehow, put pressure on Jordan Love somehow, and make it a bloodbath of a game. Very physical. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But ultimately, my prediction for this game, I see the Saints losing this game. I don't think the Saints will lose it big. I really don't. I have faith in Darren Rizzi in that. I've been asked this week a few times by different people the same question. Do I think that Darren Rizzi deserves the head coaching position? And my answer to each and every one of those people who ask me is no. And it's not because I don't like Darren Rizzi. I think Darren Rizzi is a good coach. And you can clearly see he's a leader of men because he has those guys playing hard. Just think back, and you don't have to go back that far. Just a couple of months ago when we had the other guy here, Saints fall behind 17-0, that zero would have stayed on the board throughout the game. You know it, I know it, they know it. They wouldn't have put up a fight. It would have been no fight in the second half. Clearly, a different team came out of that tunnel at halftime. And I was deeply impressed by that. And that is because of Darren Rizzi. But is that enough for him to get the job as head coach? I don't think so. There's a lot more that he has to do because you have to look at it this way. There's going to be other football coaches out there who are qualified to be the head coach, more qualified than Darren Rizzi. And we, as an organization, talking to you, Mickey, as an organization, have to do your due diligence and bring in these guys, and that's not a shot against Darren Rizzi, but we have to bring in these guys to see who is the better candidate. Now, do I think Darren Rizzi can be a good head coach? Yeah, I believe he can be. I'm just not 100% sold on him being the guy. Yeah, the team looks better, but at the same time, there's a lot going against this team right now. There's injuries. There's the when he took over, the way the schedule played out. It's just a bad situation to be in. And I think the Saints, on our last search for a head coach after Sean Payton quit on us, we didn't do a proper job of vetting these coaches. They played it safe. And went with somebody who was already here, the guy that was in the building with Dennis Allen. And look what that got us. They played it safe. And you brought in some really good coaches to interview. I remember them bringing in Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn was the first one. No, actually, Darren Rizzi was the first one they interviewed. And then they brought in Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn right now currently is one of the top head coaching candidates at the end of the season, to fill up some of these vacant spots that a lot of prognosticators are predicting is going to have at the end of this season. And we could have had him already. You brought in Eric Bieniemy. You could have had him. You could have had Brian Flores. Look what he did with that defense in Minnesota. Look what he did in Miami. The dude's a good coach. You brought in all these people. You brought in Doug Peterson. Look how he turned around Jacksonville. Now, Jacksonville has kind of dropped off to reality right now, but he brought them to the playoffs last season. And you had these guys in the building. You chose safe and went with Dennis Allen, and we haven't sniffed the playoffs since. So I think we are to do the Who Dat Nation a favor, the organization a favor, and some of these players a favor, and bring in somebody who's really going to coach them up, get the best out of them, and actually bring us back to prominence, and hopefully the NFC South division and playoffs, and who knows from there. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. As of right now, I'm glad that we do have Darren Rizzi. I really like what he's doing with this team. Now, with all that being said about those other coaches, if Darren Rizzi can really get this team rallied around him and play hard like they are playing, and maybe give us an upset, because this is the last true upset you can do this season against Green Bay. Maybe Tampa Bay at the end of the season, but by then Tampa probably had clinched everything, and they're not going to come out there and play all. Who knows? But this will be the true test on Monday night against a real playoff team, against a team that could shock a lot of people in the playoffs. I don't know if they can knock off Detroit, but they are capable of it. That I can tell you. And so if you can put up a fight against these people and really have a defining victory against this team, then, hey, your stock rises. But we shall see. Me personally, I'm not predicting them to win, but I am predicting them to give us a good effort. And that's something I've been crying for 3 years out of this team. And, you know, even last week when it was heartbreaking that we didn't get that 2 point conversion, it was still a good game, man. It felt good that this team fought to literally the last second, and it was a pleasure to watch. So we'll see this Monday night. But that's my prediction. Maybe you feel differently. Maybe you think the Saints will give the upset to the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau, frozen tundra. It's going to be cold at night. Ooh, boy, it's truly going to be the frozen tundra. 2 days before Christmas, man. This is, will we pull off a Christmas miracle? I don't know. We shall see. But I would love to know your thoughts. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for this show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Also, don't forget about YouTube. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel on YouTube and like this video if you don't mind. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the Dome Patrol podcast, your podcast for the New Orleans Saints here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this Week 16 game preview, Monday Night Football, New Orleans Saints traveling to Lambeau to take on the Green Bay Packers. Until then, Merry Christmas and who dat?